Venom's life is awful, yet many believe bonding with an alien symbiote would be a good idea. Symbiotes don't sleep. Eddie is bonded with an alien creature thousands to millions of years old. Venom is opinionated, easily bored like your mom's OnlyFans audience, and can hijack Eddie's body anytime he's awake. Nothing like finding out what your body was up to by watching Good Morning America the next day. Privacy, cute concept. Venom doesn't grant him that. Imagine having that Twitter heckler constantly providing feedback. Yeah, even during number 2s. No more alone time. Meditation is out of the question. Eddie is never alone in his head, and not only that, but the voice in his head is often urging him towards violence. Imagine having thoughts of murder because someone took your parking spot. Not zen. Every decision, every meal is a hostage negotiation. Venom feeds on phenethylamine, top suppliers, human brains, and Costco-sized chocolate mountains. Miss a feeding window and the voice in his skull starts pitching unscheduled lobotomies on innocent bystanders. Cost breakdown? Poor Eddie's grocery budget triples and risks Mrs. Chen losing her frontal lobe if the Hershey truck shows up late. Friends? Eddie can't tell too many people he's Venom, otherwise that's a one-way trip to the deepest underground laboratory some classified government agency can put him in. Relationships? Early on he was able to put the symbiote in a closet, similar to how Peter did in Spider-Man 3. But after some time, the symbiote will bond with its host at a cellular level, a permanent bond, meaning every time becomes a threesome. In the original stories, it was stated when Eddie becomes excited, Venom becomes excited. Oh, and pregnancy? Yeah, Venom can get pregnant. Symbiotes reproduce asexually and oftentimes don't even know they're pregnant. Venom accidentally gave birth to one of the strongest symbiotes ever born, who was on a mission to take him out, and he didn't even know. That can just happen like it's a normal Tuesday. And to think, no one even threw Venom a baby shower. Not only that, but each spawn is stronger than the parent at the time the birth happened, meaning if some great descendant decides to pick a fight, game over. Poor Eddie's social life is totally gone, and it makes sense. Venom doesn't like to hide for too long, and for some reason that makes people feel uncomfortable. We often see Eddie having awkward public outbursts, such as the times he's arguing with Venom. Eddie often appears to be talking to himself, drawing unneeded suspicion. No one wants to be friends with the guy talking to himself. Except at raves apparently. Venom was a big hit when he went to a rave. Tolerant folk. And this is why Eddie's only friends are Mrs. Chen and his ex-fiance, because nothing says mental health like having the bodega's owners, your ex-wife, and a parasitic alien symbiote as your inner circle. Health? Good luck staying on top of that. The symbiote is constantly draining Eddie's vitality while at the same time healing him. A vicious cycle. How is that strain doing on the body? Well, doctor visits are out of the question for poor Eddie. There's no way to know what normal is when the human body is permanently joined with an ancient alien life form. So Eddie has to rely on medical reports from the guy who makes wisecracks while decapitating screaming criminals. Even worse, the symbiote can ghost him like a Tinder match. Venom once left Eddie and body hopped into random strangers just to prove a point. That's not a bond, that's an abusive situation. This needs to be determined in the movies, but in the original stories, a host needs to bond with its symbiote after separation, otherwise they will pass away. Of course, we can't ignore that Venom has access to and is part of a larger hive mind that ultimately connects to Knull, a cosmic being that rivals even beings like the Sentry. Knowing that he could come knocking at any time is enough to warrant some deep levels of anxiety. Venom is also wanted by countless government organizations for being at the center of multiple events. So if there's a knock on the door, it could be a cosmic being, an angry grandkid, the authorities, but most likely not a friend coming over with pizza. The symbiote also desperately needs therapy, as it has literally went on tantrums that devolved into Eddie's entire apartment being destroyed. We're talking tens of thousands of dollars of damage because of an oral disagreement. All of a sudden, being able to stick to walls doesn't sound so much fun, huh? In the case for Peter Parker in the Raimiverse, the symbiote was incredibly manipulative. It hid the fact it was a living, thinking being and amplified his worst emotions, which eventually led to Peter Parker even striking Mary Jane in public. As Peter became more reliant on the symbiote, the bond grew and it almost became permanent. This is not a contract, this is a hostage situation. The Venom in the Sony universe was much more ethical and I don't think would have sanctioned domestic violence and deceit, but it goes to show how every symbiote has its own unique identity, making bonding with one that much more of a wild factor. Now look, there are benefits of course. Access to millions of years of knowledge, superhuman abilities that put him at levels above even Spider-Man, a loyal friend that will put their life on the line for you, well, in the case for Eddie and Venom anyway. But I think it's safe to say the cons greatly outweigh the pros. Do you agree? Disagree? Comment below.